All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. We're going to look at how the top AI background removers of 2026 are absolutely transforming the way we work. If you've ever tried to build a brand, you already know that image quality is everything. But the behind-the-scenes reality of making those images perfect? Utterly tedious. So let's break down the heavyweights of the industry right now. Clipdrop, Remove.bg, and Canva, and see exactly how they're reshaping content creation.
Picture this. It's 3 a.m. You've got a massive product launch tomorrow, your eyes are burning, and you're just staring at these messy, complex Photoshop layers. You're still manually masking out the background of a single product photo because, let's be real, the edge of a fluffy sweater just won't cooperate with a magnetic lasso tool. If you're a creator, an e-commerce seller, or a designer, you know this exact nightmare. It's the ultimate productivity killer.
8.2 minutes. I mean, wow. That's the staggering average amount of time people spend manually removing a background from just one single image. Imagine a new clothing line with 50 items, or a weekly social media calendar that needs dozens of crisp, isolated graphics. Those 8.2 minutes, they compound incredibly fast into hours and eventually days of lost time. Time you could have spent strategizing, marketing, or, actually sleeping.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the core problem, and more importantly, the solution. We've gone from over 8 exhausting minutes of manual clicking, zooming, and erasing down to a literal 1.8 seconds of real-time AI magic. That's an 80% reduction in workflow time. Actually, scratch that. It's not just a minor upgrade. It's a fundamental shift in how digital assets are prepped and deployed. So, here's our roadmap for understanding this $5 billion market. We'll hit the manual editing trap, the evolution of AI removers, a big 3 showdown, real-world ROI impacts, and finally, where the future of image AI is heading.
Let's start with number 1, the manual editing trap.
Look, this isn't just about getting annoyed by repetitive clicking. The real-world fallout is huge. We're talking about creators wasting 5 to 10 hours every single week. We're looking at a crazy steep Photoshop learning curve that keeps beginners completely out of the game. We're seeing small businesses bleeding $50 to $200 a month just on freelance editors to do basic masking, and worst of all, delayed marketing campaigns. In today's fast-paced digital economy, if your campaign is delayed because you're stuck cutting out backgrounds, you're literally losing money to faster competitors.
Moving on to Section 2, the evolution of AI removers. It's genuinely fascinating to look back at this journey. Back in 2016, this whole thing started with these early semantic models like UNet. And get this, they were actually used for medical image segmentation before moving to general images. Then in 2018, Remove.bg changed the game with their commercial API. Fast forward to 2022, and we saw a massive leap in quality with clip-guided diffusion models, finally figuring out complex edges like hair and fur. Which brings us to 2024, the tipping point, where sub-2-second processing became the absolute standard. Under a decade to go from a neat novelty to a total necessity.
All right, number 3, the big 3 showdown.
To really get why these tools are so incredibly good now, you kind of have to know what's happening under the hood. Modern diffusion models are these specialized AI architectures that use what are called attention mechanisms. They flawlessly identify and separate complex foreground edges from their backgrounds. Instead of just guessing where a shape ends, these models actually understand the context of the image. That's what lets them tackle the absolute hardest parts of a photo with shocking precision. I absolutely love this quote from Dr. Sarah Chen, an AI research scientist at Stability AI, because it hits the nail right on the head. She points out that these models have dropped error rates from 15% all the way down to under 3% for complex edges. Think about that for a second. Going from a 15% failure rate, which basically means manually touching up every other photo, to under 3% is an absolute game changer. You can finally trust the AI to just do the job unsupervised.
Now, what's super interesting is seeing the actual showdown in the data. Look how tight this race is when dealing with notoriously tough stuff: hair, fur, and transparent objects like glass. Clipdrop narrowly takes the lead here, hitting an incredible 98% accuracy for transparent objects. But notice how Remove.bg and Canva are following exceptionally close behind. Even Canva, at the lower end of this top-tier group, is still hitting 90% or above. The main takeaway? All 3 of these tools are performing at a masterclass level. So your choice might honestly come down to your specific workflow rather than raw edge detection.
And because these accuracy rates are so high, the standard workflow for 2026 is a breeze. Step 1, upload your batch. And yeah, we're talking 50 to 500 images at once. Step 2, wait 1.8 seconds per image. You barely have time to sip your coffee. Step 3, do a super quick visual review just to catch that rare 3% error. And Step 4, export in whatever format you need. It's frictionless, fast, and entirely scalable.
Which brings us to Section 4, Real-World ROI Impacts. Let's talk money. According to recent data from Reuters, implementing these AI tools translates to an incredible $2,400 in yearly savings per employee. I mean, that's huge. When you cut out the need for expensive freelance retouching and give your in-house team back 5 to 10 hours a week, your financial efficiency just skyrockets. For a small agency or a startup, a few $1,000s saved per employee can easily be the difference between scaling up or shutting the doors.
But hey, it's not just about saving pennies, it's about making them. 22%. That is the average bump in conversion rates on e-commerce product pages when you use AI background removal. Clean, perfectly isolated product images look professional. For sure, they build instant trust. When a customer can clearly see what they're buying without a cluttered background, they are way more likely to click Add to Cart.
James Wilson, an e-commerce director at Shopify, totally backs this up. He confirms that merchants leveraging AI background removal are the ones actually seeing these exact 22% higher conversion rates. It really proves that cleaner, faster product images aren't just an aesthetic luxury for big brands anymore. They directly translate into much higher sales for everyday merchants.
And finally, Section 5, the future of image AI.
We are on an absolute rocket ship here. Driven by an endless need for e-commerce listings and social media content, this specific AI sector is exploding. We're rushing toward a massive $5.3 billion market cap by the year 2028, which means we're going to see even more investment, faster processing, and way more competitive pricing as these giants battle it out for market dominance.
But the real game changer is accessibility. By 2027, real-time background removal won't just be a standalone app or a website you visit. It's going to be natively standard on personal computing devices. With massive hardware companies building dedicated AI accelerators right into laptops, this capability will soon be baked directly into the OS you use every single day. It's going to be as common and as simple as copy and paste.
So that leaves us with one pretty big final thought. We've seen how the technology exists to turn an agonizing 8-minute chore into a 1.8-second afterthought. The tools are here, they're incredibly accurate, and they're highly accessible. So, if AI can buy you back your time, what are you going to do with it?